My most vivid holiday memory would be receiving a Dallas Cowboys starter jacket in probably the early 90s.
Starter reshaped the fashion world by making sportswear pop culture. Embraced by athletes, entertainers, adults, and teens alike, David Beckerman's sportswear brand became a cultural and fashion phenomenon in the 1980s and 1990s. With the insanely high demand, it seemed that Starter was going to stay prominent in the fashion world for a long time. But if history taught us one thing, it has always taught us every good thing comes to an end. From being highly valued to being sold at Walmart, it leads people to wonder how an iconic company became a name hard to remember. Where are they now? Starter.
Wagoner delivery.
David Beckerman was a salesman at a Duxter sporting goods store. Motivated by his love of sports and experience of being a salesman, Beckerman used his own $25,000 and borrowed $50,000 to create Starter in 1971. With the initial purpose of selling generic jackets and hats to high school teams and bars, he ought to go for an even bigger market, professional sports.
Ha!
Beckerman got a big breakthrough in the mid-1970s. A delivery driver at his company also worked at a trucking company at the New York Mets training facility. That delivery driver introduced Beckerman to former Mets manager Joe Torre. Shortly after that, the Mets was the first professional team to wear Starter. And by 1976, Starter went into a non-exclusive licensing agreement with the MLB, in which they paid out around 10% royalties. Fans from all ages were now able to wear the same apparel that their favorite players wore. As a result of its success with Major League Baseball, by 1983, Starter agreed to licensing deals with the NHL, NFL, NBA, and the CFL. As these sports leagues grew and grew in the 1980s, Starter grew along with them. These partnerships skyrocketed Starter to a dimension of its own,
Okay, new rules. Individuals are no longer more important than the team.
You want a piece of that championship? Put it in here. Nobody can do it alone, but together we can do it.
Sports magazines include more team photos. More game balls go to linemen. Home runs start getting more press than holdouts. We pat someone on the butt when they fail and celebrate like madmen when they succeed. Starter, it's about team.
The music and film industry, especially hip-hop, adopted the product, adding a cool factor for the company and bolstering revenue. Figures such as Funkmaster Flex and DJ Jazzy Jeff spoke highly of the brand.
Flip the hat. You're late and you got the wrong hat. Sit in the corner.
No respectable.
Then you raise the hat.
Hey, this thing's still alive.
Wrong hat. Then you slam the hat. Then you spin the hat.
Oh, I need landing instructions.
Wrong hat. Then you smooth the hat.
Take it easy, will you? I think I'm having a hat attack.
You need the right hat.
Now I'll get some respect.
The inner city does drive fashion, Beckerman said, acknowledging Black culture played a pivotal part in the rise of Starter. As a result of Starter's popularity, sales soared from $500,000 in 1976 to $3 million in 1981 to $200 million in 1991 to more than $300 million and decided to go public in the stock market in 1993. Almost every single piece of clothing had the S-Star logo during the 80s and 90s.
Look for the stars, and you'll find Starter.
It was no longer just a sportswear for sports fans. It was now a real fashion statement for people to wear.
Out there, like it was, people would just be sitting out there waiting for you to come out the store with your
Run out the
jazz.
Foot Locker and just...
You fresh, you happy, you just spent your hard-earned check on it. You
Yeah.
step out the door, they put the pistol to you and take them.
Sad, man.
Yeah, they was taking J's and starter jackets.
Rising popularity has negative consequences. The Starter logo became so coveted that people, mostly teens, were robbed and killed for their starter jackets.
The starter jacket is currently the most popular jacket around. Students proudly wear the names of their favorite pro sports team. But wearing this jacket can mean trouble.
These kids having problems walking to and from school without somebody riding up, putting a gun to the head, taking their jacket.
So far, no one has been hurt, but police fear the robberies could become more violent.
If one of these kids refuse to give up their jacket, they're subject to get killed.
A starter jacket theft led to the death of 34-year-old Michael Levy last September. He was trying to stop 4 teens who police say had shoplifted the jackets from an athletic store when he was shot. Since early December, East Fort Worth detectives have investigated at least 20 jacket robberies, mostly around high schools. The youngest victim was 11. 18-year-old Tommy Lee Fannin is charged in 3 of the robberies. A 16-year-old Eastern Hills High School student is also a suspect, and this 18-year-old Dunbar High School student faces charges as well.
Negative press and public talk started swarming the brand, pointing fingers on how the popular sportswear was costing the lives of teenagers. but that didn't stop the rise of Starter. Sales have increased by 23% since the start in 1994. But in August, Major League Baseball owners believed that their players should have a cap on their salaries, and the players thought otherwise, thus leading to the stoppage of the MLB from August 1994 to April 1995. Believing that owners and players were becoming greedy and selfish, and the real losers were the fan base themselves, fans were frustrated with the strike and wanted nothing to do with their pro teams, causing sales to fall flat over the next 2 years. With their primary target audience now gone, competition for sports apparel started to heat up, with the likes of Nike and Champion becoming the main suppliers of uniforms for the NBA, and the NHL also facing uncertainty, leading to a league lockout. Starter themselves blamed the lack of sales on late deliveries from vendors and shipping delays. However, it was obvious to folks that the downfall in sports leagues and upcoming companies was the main driver to the downfall of Starter. By 1999, the iconic brand declared for bankruptcy, and by the year of 2004, Nike purchased Starter for just $43 million. The company that had their hands in many lucrative partnerships with professional leagues was now only worth $43 million. During the late 2000s, Starter partnered with Walmart, selling generic workout clothing that was not cool to pop culture.
Thanks for the invite, Broham. I won't let you down. We got next! Next!
All right, Jerry, just take it easy out there. I don't want to repeat what happened last time.
If everybody plays by the rules, then it's all good, right?
Fine, but nobody calls 3 seconds in a pickup game.
Dr. Hoops does.
Nobody calls you Dr. Hoops, Jerry.
Legal defense!
Jerry.
No! Jerry. Let's pick up that guy. He's great.
We have 5 players.
We'll trade one of these guys. Next game. Yo, throw me the rock. This is how pickup games are won. Yo, did you download those plays that I sent you?
Not seeing any value in the company anymore, Nike sold Starter to Iconics Brand Group in 2007. By 2009, Starter signed a deal with Tony Romo, selling track pants, jerseys, and jackets.
People are focused on what we haven't done.
And their season is going well.
That's what I'm focused on too.
Even though it did make a little noise, Starter was nowhere near their prime self. Recently, in November 2019, the company announced an agreement with Coca-Cola to produce and commercialize apparel with the logo and image of the brand. The collaboration did turn some heads and sparked some interest in certain folks. Yet Starter was only seen as a nostalgia apparel and not a must-buy for the newcomers. Starter just outgrew their target audience, and it just wasn't cool for the new crowd anymore. Even though dead brands such as Champion, Reebok, and Puma found ways to return into pop culture, Starter never found any luck gaining interest with the new crowd. With the fast rise of multiple fashion brands and hypebeat culture, I think it's safe to say that Starter might be seeing their last days.